In today's video, we're going to be doing my SuperCoach team reveal, but first, I'm just going to show you guys my SuperCoach league. The code is 511319. The spots fill up quite quickly, so make sure you join as fast as possible. It is a head-to-head league as well, because I just think head-to-head leagues more fun and a lot more competitive as well. Let's just get straight into the hookers. Corey Pakes and Sandon Smith. Of course, this is very team list dependent. The whole team pretty much is team list dependent. There will be probably a million changes made to this team. Corey Pakes and Sandon Smith, like I said already, are my hookers. I think Corey Pakes might just have his nose in front of the Broncos hookers. He played decent at the trial match, and he didn't play at all last year, which means he's had a full preseason to recover from his injury. And I think just because of how cheap he is, even if he does only play 40 minutes, he could go out there and get 35 points and just make a little bit of value. And then Sandon Smith averages 55 when he plays in the halves, and he will be goal kicking as well. Just a must-have, one of the best cheapies in SuperCoach this year. And this year's honestly been one of the worst years for cheapies. There's not a lot of guys who are guaranteed at the moment to get the spot, but Sandon Smith is one of them. Front rows, we've got Terrell May. He only averaged around 45 minutes at the Roosters, and he was still able to average 58 points. So now that he's going to be playing a bigger role at the West Tigers, who are quite light on forwards, he's just going to be so good. And he should really, realistically be in everyone's team. I think he is a must-have. And with how hard captain choices are to pick at the start of the year, because, players' upsides aren't already there, he could just be a safe and reliable captain option every week. Next up, Aaron Clark. He's got the front row, second row duel. So does Nafua White. So that means I could swap them down there. I don't have Corey Horsburgh in there at the moment. I'm trying to get him in my team. I'm hoping that at least just one more cheapie comes on so I can get Corey Horsburgh in there. But at the moment, I'm sticking with Aaron Clark and Nafua White, both up here. And hopefully I can get another dual guy in there. Aaron Clark should play lock, and there should be a lot of value there if he's playing lock. He was named in the 13 for both trial matches. I think he's going to be a really good SuperCoach option. And Nafua White, they lost Terrell May, Statili Tupanua, and JWH, which means there should just be a lot more minutes in there for Nafua White. He only averaged 33 minutes last year. And even though there's a small sample size, I think he only played 2 games above 70 minutes last year. And I'm pretty sure he scored above 70 in both of them, so he can keep up a good work rate for a longer amount of time. Royce Hunt's in there. I'm just going with Royce Hunt just because I'm not keen on Tomamoni at all. And those two are basically only 2 cheapy front rows. I'll say why I'm not keen on Tomamoni. They are just Bulldogs, cheapy front rows that burn people every year. Last year, it was Farmasili. He played 20 minutes, scored 10 points, didn't come back on for the rest of the game. Because that's how the Bulldogs usually run their forward. They get a big muscular guy out there early to go. Just dig in, get some hard yards early, and then go off and stay off for the rest of the game. 2023, that was Franklin Pele. Last year, it was Farmasili, and I think Tomamoni is just going to be that role this year. If you want to go over Moni and risk it, that's something you could do if it's your gut decision, but I'm just going to Royce Hunt. I just feel like he's going to be a lot more safe. The Tigers are light on forwards, like I already said, so a bit more minutes in there would be good. I got Connor Watson in my back row. My back row is a bit weird, to be honest. I got quite a few pods in there at the moment. But Connor Watson's in there mainly because just in case if these 2 cheapy hookers flop or one of them flop, I can just swap Connor Watson up there, which it's just way less stressful. I was kind of nervous about running 2 cheapy hookers, mainly because it has kind of burnt me in the past. I think I started with 2 cheapy hookers last year, but as long as Connor Watson can score solid points in the back row, because I'm pretty sure he is going to play hooker, and it's not ideal having someone playing hooker in the back row. As long as he plays the 80 minutes, I think he should be pretty good. Second row was moving on from Connor Watson. We got Alex Seyfarth. I think he's going to be really good. They lost, who did they lose? Papali'i and John Bateman, which means Alex Seyfarth should be playing not lock. He should be playing in the number 11 in the back row, and he averages 63 when he plays and starts in the back row, and he's got quite a bit of attacking upside. He's scored, I think, around 5 tries last year, made a few line breaks as well, and he's got some decent ball playing. I feel like we could see him throw a cutout to the winger. And the thing I like most about this, he was named captain this week for the trial match, so that means that Benji Marshall trusts him a lot, and he could easily play 80 minutes if he has the captaincy. Brennan Piku in there, he has burned everyone the past few years, but he's even cheaper this year than he was last year. Brennan Piku is a risk I'm willing to take, and everyone started with him last year. And he was honestly decent at first. He had that game where he got injured in Vegas, but then he came back next round, got a solid 48 against the Eels. Not the Eels, actually, it was against the Rabbitohs. And then he got a 57 against Penrith, and Penrith had the best team in the comp. He played the 80 minutes, and he got a solid try assist in that game. I think Brennan Piku, this is finally going to be his breakout year. He's going to be an 80-minute back row this year. I reckon there's going to be value. And the fact that he's only 3% owned, it makes me a bit nervous, but it also makes me just excited to have him, because if he ends up going really good and no one has him this year, that would just be really nice. Kelma Tuolangi killed it in a trial match against the Knights, scored a very good try. He just ran a really nice line, and Dylan Brown put him very well into a gap. And in games where he plays more than 50 minutes, I think he averages 64, or at least around that. So, Kelma Tuolangi, I think he's going to be decent. He has a solid work rate and PPM, and I'm pretty keen on him. Jacob Laban scored a try in the All-Stars game, and I think he could start or at least get a bench spot at the Warriors this year. They have lost quite a few forwards. They've lost Tohu Harris to retirement, and they lost Anthony Blake. So hopefully he can slot himself into that side and at least play some decent minutes. Hoepa Puru up next. He scored a nice try in the trial match as well. The Sharks usually like to run a 4-forward bench. They lost Jack Williams, so hopefully that opens up a spot for Puru. And I think he could be really good. You know, he's a nice ball playing lock, kind of like Jack Williams, so hopefully he can replace him nicely. Halfbacks, well, my halves are a bit interesting here. This is basically how I'm going to get to Cleary. Because Luke Metcalf, I know he's a gun this year, he's going to play halfback and he's going to be goal kicking, but realistically, I don't think the Warriors are going to be that great this year. I don't want to have Metcalf in my team for probably longer than around 7 weeks. Even though I do think he's going to be really good, I just feel like there's going to be a time where he does peak a bit early. And that means when Cleary drops down in price a little bit, when Cleary bottoms out and Metcalf hits his peak price, I can swap him with Dylan Brown, get Dylan Brown in my 5/8s, and then get Metcalf to Cleary. And that means I'd have Dylan Brown and Burton in my 5/8s after I do that, and I can just sit there and hold them for the rest of the year. Brown and Burton probably going to be the best 5/8s in SuperCoach. Dylan Brown's average is way down from the games he played halfback. People forget that Dylan Brown was around 780k last year. He was an absolute SuperCoach beast in 2023, and he's so much cheaper this year. He's got Moses back in the side, which helps him out a lot. He's got Zach Lomax, who he could kick to as well, and he doesn't play Origin either, so he will just sit there and play every game. And he never gets injured either, which is just super nice, very reliable. And then Matt Burton, goal kicking. Carraz out of the side makes me a bit worried, but the Bulldogs finding, young finding young backs and wingers have never really been a problem for them. I mean, we saw Jarrell Skelton last year just burst into the scenes and crush it. So hopefully they can find another guy there to replace Kiraz, because Kiraz is injured. I think he's guaranteed out for round 1, and I think could miss around 3 to 4 weeks with an injury. Nico Hines in there as well. I forgot to talk about Nico. I just think he was 900, and what was his price last year? I think it was around 912k. He started 970k. He is so much cheaper this year. People are kind of off Hines because Trindle's going to be in the side, but he still averaged 71. Trindle was in the side. So that shouldn't be a reason to be nervous. Nico Hines, goal kicking. I think the Sharks start hot this year. I reckon the Sharks are going to be really good this year. And I don't understand why Nico Hines is so low owned. It doesn't make any sense to me. He has been one of the best players in SuperCoach the last few years. I think he'll be a gun. Centre wingers, I've gone a little bit more stacked here, mainly just because there is no cheapies at the moment. I mean, the three cheapies I have on my bench are just about the only ones I'm keen on at the moment. If Jesse McLean gets a start, I'll probably upgrade or downgrade Purdue or Derby to them, because I think after the trial match, Robert Toyer has that centre spot locked up, because Mark Nowitney-Watney's, he looked pretty flat out there, mainly because I think he's a centre. He's a winger in rugby union, playing centre in rugby league. So Mark Nowitney-Watney's, he didn't really look like he fit in there. And Robert Toyer played really well. I think he got around 50 SuperCoach points in the 60 minutes he played. So I'm pretty keen on Robert Toyer now. And then Purdue and Derby, I don't think they both get the starting spot. It would be great if they do, but I probably won't start with both of them at the moment, mainly because I don't think the Cowboys are going to be very good. Now let's get into some of my gun centres. Herbie Farmworth, 4% owned, which I found quite surprising. His lowest score last year was 40, which is just insane for a centre winger. He has such an insane base power. He takes so many runs. He just wants the ball a lot. He loves running in there and just going in there, getting hard yards. Loves taking head-ups. And he's got a really nice offload, and he breaks so many tackles. I think Herbie Farmworth's going to be really good. And he's a pod as well, which I like about him. Ruben Garrick is pretty much 100k underpriced compared to other years. If you take out the games where he had concussions, he averages a lot high. He's so cheap. He's the cheapest he's been in 4 years. I think he's a must-have as well. Greg Marju, I feel like quite a few people are forgetting this year that at the start of 2024, he was the most expensive centre wing. In 2023, he was just a must-have. He was the centre wing to have. He would go out there, just get so many base points, and just get so many tries. And I think the Knights, they have such a good draw this year. I know they have an early bye, but I feel like you can cop that early. And Marju, with Ponga in the side early, I think he's going to be really good. And so much value there after he had an injury-affected year last year. Jack Howarth averages 55 in his 80-minute games at centre, because he had a few games where he came off the bench and played back row. I think he'll be really good. It's his second year playing as well, so I reckon that already adds a few points as well. And he's playing centre at one of the best teams in the comp. I think Jack Howarth's going to be really good. And then Purdue, Derby, and Toyer I already talked about. Tom Trbojevic, Isaiah Yongi, and Kalen Ponga are in my team. I didn't have Yongi in my team until the trial match. He just threw a perfect bullet, cut-out pass to the winger to put him in. And he just gets so many run meters. He could average 55. And even the worst fullbacks in the NRL average 55 in SuperCoach, which means he could make a quick 300k. And I know the free-gun fullback sounds really nice, but it takes a while for players to get into their upside in the season. And I feel like now that Trell's injured, more and more people are going to be going to two-gun fullbacks and Yongi. I like Reece Walsh as well, but my gut just tells me go over Yongi. I think he's going to be really good, and he could at least average close to what Walsh averages. And then Tom Trbojevic, he's the best fullback in SuperCoach. Just an overall gun. I don't even think I really have to talk about him too much, to be honest. And then Kalen Ponga, he flat out carries the Knights. I think he's going to be an absolute gun to have in SuperCoach. Goal kicks. The Knights have a great draw to start the year. That's basically it. Don't really have to talk about the two fullbacks, because I think these are pretty much the most owned gun fullbacks in the NRL. So that'll be it for this video. I know it was a long one, just a lot to talk about. There'll be a video next week when TLT comes. So I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you join the SuperCoach League as well.